Hello everyone, this is Clossi and welcome to Daily Game Review number 67. Today we have KoolBreeze 5Q versus Tromm 4Q. Let's go ahead and get started. At this level, I want to say probably both players don't know how to count, but once you get to 5Q level, and some players, if they know their basics and know how the territory is valued, can even start trying to count at 9Q. So I'm pretty confident that every player 5Q and stronger can learn how to count and count accurately. And players who have a good understanding of territory, what territory is, what territory isn't, can start counting at like 9Q. So I highly recommend learning how to count at this level because it will really help you in the long run to have a counting skill. Being able to say this is how much territory each player has and be approximately close to what the actual score is. Many players, especially in the West and English-speaking community, undervalue this skill. This skill will help you in determining, do I need to play slightly overplay, or do I need to be more aggressive, or do I need to just play simple? Because am I winning, am I losing? If I'm losing, I need to play more aggressive and catch up. If I'm winning, let's just play simple and solid and just keep my lead. Also, when you need to evaluate how much moves are worth, which will come in handy for end game and some middle game, which you normally can do in the middle game around 2Q, you can do this to value how much a move is worth and count it to approximate accuracy, meaning within a few points of the real score. When I say real score, as close as you can get to pro level counting. So you want to be within at least a few points of a pro's level of counting, and you can do that with enough practice. This is a skill you can easily develop and practice and refine throughout the years. So you can go ahead and start that now and have it as a skill you can develop, and it should really help you in the long run. For endgame, mastering endgame, counting is an absolute must because endgame is nothing but mathematics. Pretty much, if you can count the score in the game, you can pretty much tell how much an in-game move is worth by the difference in variations for if white plays it or if black plays it, what's the difference in score? Well, that's how much the move is worth, and then you just double the value if it's Sente. So that's the simple method for doing endgame. Of course, there's much more complicated mathematical methods for doing that, but that's a simple way. And counting, if you can already count, then learning endgame will be that much easier, and mastering endgame will be that much easier because you already know how to count, and therefore you can count the value of moves rather easily, and that'll be easier to learn down the road as well if you can count. So go ahead and start learning how to count at this level, guys. I highly recommend it. Alright, so we move along. Both players playing simple. We're going to play this variation. Okay, if you're going to extend, probably you want to go ahead and Atari and then extend. Also watch the Aji. But normally you Atari here. This Atari is kind of important because without that Atari, white can simply extend down and then potentially cut you, and white has no problems and a big corner, and you do have problems. So normally you want that D18. It's just worth it locally. Okay, this way. All right, so now white does do this, and you see the top side is not nearly as valuable as it should be. Let's compare this to the Sanrense. In the Sanrense, the board looks like this. We say this result is even. White has two corners on the left, so to make up for the center influence, and then locally, white has about 6 to 8 points in this corner, 6 to 8 points in this corner, and black has a big moyo. This is known as even. Therefore, white getting these two corners, black must have an influence that is at least this large to be even to those two corners. But in the game, we're going to see that here, black's influence is not equal to that Sanrense. Look at this and compare it to this. The influence here is much better for black. Therefore, this result is good for white. So that means black made a mistake somewhere, and that's probably that Atari, because if you had that Atari, it'd have been a little bit easier. Also, I think there's not enough of, there's too much Aji with a cutting point there to try and pull off a normal Sanrense strategy. So it's hard to say what to play, but I don't want to get too far into it because I don't fully know. But this result is good for white. All right, we play here, but actually the interesting side is the bottom side, not the right side, because there's a monkey jump. So I'd play on the bottom side. And if white plays another 3-3, well, now look at that influence. That influence is doing pretty good because it's working with the combination with the whole board. But I think the bottom side's more interesting than the right side, so I'd play on the bottom side. Tanuki, this is really small. White, I think this is not worth it right now because you have a weak stone, just go ahead and fix. And this jumping back here actually deals with the pincer, helps your stone, and can cancel out the moyo from afar. So this move is kind of important to have. And a normal move and just worth it. It's easy to do. There's no reason not to do this. You're leading and you have a good position and you're stopping black's influence, so there's no reason not to play this way. This is too slow though. It seems like you're scared of the influence and you're second guessing yourself, and there's no reason to do that. You're doing fine. Black, I wouldn't play this one. I would go ahead and attack white stone here. And since white ignored you, go ahead and punish him. And you can use your influence to attack this group if he tries to run. And that's how you want to use your influence. You want to use your influence to attack something. So when white leaves a stone, you should be excited because you finally get to use your influence to attack something, which is the goal of your influence. So it's a big chance for you. So definitely do that. This, however, will let white easily get will let white easily get more influence and more moves that deal with your influence. So for example, something like this will be a very nice combination for white and very unfortunate for black because this easily cancels out his influence, and these two stones are not in a good position, so black can't easily develop over here, and white's influence looks very nice and very natural. Therefore, white's clearly leading in this position. We're playing here. This is more powerful than this. Not too bad. Okay, so white does get it, so therefore white is leading this game. All right, black goes in. That's fine. Pick, yep. No, you normally want to jump. Even if black plays something like this, it's still fine. Black's still not alive. He has one eye, maybe half an eye, and you're getting the move to surround, which is good because your shape's not completely alive over here. Therefore, you want to be out and surrounding black, not black coming out and surrounding you with something like this, because it's very easy for black to play this way because this shape is a natural shape, so we know that this is okay for black to play. You did take this, but for only a few points, you're letting black on the outside where he has support, and you don't want that. You would rather have here where he's on the inside, and you're canceling out the moyo while also fixing yourself in Sente. This black is overplay. You can't do this with the weak group. You don't invade next to a weak group, guys. In the last few games, I've seen this as a theme. Don't invade when you're weak. Fix yourself, and you can do this later. If you think this is so big that you can't let the white have this, then perhaps you shouldn't have played the original move. Maybe you should have gone in here immediately. But your move is fine. Your move is fine. White has to get something in exchange for you taking something. Otherwise, it's too easy of a game. You cannot prevent your opponent from getting something. Your opponent's going to always get something. You just need to try and get more than your opponent. And you can do that with a move like this. You can develop the center and force him to get that, and you're fine. But you cannot be scared of your opponent getting some points. This is completely overplay. This is how you're going to lose complete control of this position when you were doing okay and you were starting to make a comeback and starting to take advantage of your opponent's weaknesses. But instead, you played a confusing move like this, which is overplay. If your opponent responds correctly, this situation will end up very, very poorly for you. And you're going to lose complete control of the bottom side of the board, and your opponent's going to end up with more than he should have gotten. So make sure you guys do not do this. Do not invade next to a weak group and create even more weakness for yourself. Just fix yourself. It's fine. White, this is not the way to play because now if black just jumps out, then everything's a disaster for white. Normally you would play an attachment on top or a diagonal. These are the two most common responses. And you can look at the variations there. This is really, really ugly for white. Okay, this is a complete disaster for white. White, you cannot play this way because black not only cut white off, he saved himself. White doesn't have any eye shape in the corner until he gets a 3-3, and he's developing an influence. This is just way, way, way too good for black. You cannot play this way, white. You cannot play that way. Just seal black. Cut black off and seal black, and that's the way to play. But to completely tanuking all the weakness that black has is not going to help yourself. Also, a Nobi down is horrible, horrible eye shape because there's no eyes there. Normally you would fix like this, and then when he does this, you can even try something like that and get some eye shape locally. This is still good for black though, but I'm saying locally this is much better. But descending down like this, there's absolutely no eyes. So it's really, really good for black. All right, white still tries to cut black off. Pretty much white is desperate at this point. Yeah, white's pretty desperate at this point. And this is too little too late. Black gets a very large corner. So white, you really have to profit by attacking this probably here. Which you didn't play. You played, okay, you played here. It's a little much for Aji. I think a regular knight's move will do its job just fine, but if it works, we can try it. But you're on the right track at least. You're on the right track. But this whole corner was so good for black. A Tanuki. Black, not time to Tanuki. If you Tanuki here, what happens if I play something like this and kill these stones from afar on a very large scale, and this area is so huge for white? White easily makes up this corner mistake by playing this way, because this area is so good for white, so big and so many points that it's not even in comparison to this move. Yes, you may say this area looks large, but before this move, this area was already yours. So you only got this area. So let me mark it out. Above this line was already yours, meaning when you played the move at A, when you played this move, you only got maybe 8 or 9 points. However, white is attacking you, and you should have ran away and tried to live with these somehow, right? You should try to do something there and live, because that's a very large area. Once you live, white will only have influence to try and maybe invade you or something. However, when white plays this way, this area is super huge, because white got all these the 2 dead stones and all the area that comes with it, plus a bigger influence. And so this is a good 20 or 30 points, where this is only 9 points. So very big difference. That's why I said learning to count and learning to count the value of moves is really important in the long run, because you can easily spot that this is much better for white. However, white chooses to invade because white fears it. Don't fear it, just count. If you just count, you can say, okay, if I play this way or something like this, I have this much territory plus this much territory plus this much territory. Black has this much territory plus this much territory, and there's still an opening, so he doesn't have this yet until he blocks, and maybe he'll block now. Well, okay, well, now's the time to go in and deal with it, right? With something like this or something simple, or maybe just go in here if you're worried about that. Just, you can deal with it easily by playing simple moves. Just stuff like this, right? You can just reduce on the line of the Moyo. You can maybe make a threat to get in. I think something like this is fine. But you don't have to panic. And if you're desperate, then you could play something even like this and still just try and live or break out or Sabaki or something. But there's ways to deal with a large area like this. Don't fear it, just learn how to deal with it. And in this case, your area is bigger than his, so there's no reason to play that way. All right, but it's not completely bad. It's not completely bad. Your move's still fine. It's just I think this area was bigger for white. Crosscut's not needed when you can just play this way and threaten to get out and make eye shape very quickly. Maybe even play something like this. Point is, you want to start making eyes very quickly. You want eyes as fast as you can. Crosscut, probably you're going to die. This looks more like a reduction than anything. No, this is not going to work because there's no eyes and you're completely surrounded. So white's probably going to die in this way. However, black played this way, and white's playing... So you sacrificed it. In other words, you wanted to reduce. If you wanted to reduce, then don't play so deep. Just play on the line of the influence. Something like this, or something like this, or something like this. Or just reduce... Oops. Just reduce this way, and that's also fine. If you want to reduce, then just reduce. Don't invade. An invasion, normally you want to live. But instead, you chose to give it up and just reduce. But... you kind of gave black a little much. Watch your cutting points. This actually doesn't help the weak group. If you want to help the weak group, help the weak group. But this move is playing on the strong side instead of the weak side, and black's going to cut you off, and you're going to end up in even more trouble. All right, so you got a little bit lucky here. Black made a mistake. See, how many liberties does white have? So I'm looking at this move. Maybe black is okay, which means white made a mistake. White should have just sacrificed and connected. And then white's okay, and this is good for white because now these 3 stones don't look good, and white's influence is looking so much better. In this case, oh, white got scared. Okay, so both players misread this. Okay. All right, I would go ahead and Atari and just cut through. Oh, he did. Good, good, good. And this result is completely good for white. So white reduced the influence and got this big area. So this is super, super good for white. This is okay because you're threatening before Tanuki. Okay, now Tanuki. Not the big spoof. Something like this is really nice. Seal this area off and Sente while attacking this. And then I think after that, you want to destroy the right side. Something like that, or something like that. Because the right side's the last big area, last big side. So black tries to get the right side. Black, you want to just defend it like with something like that. Because here, there's still invasion. There's still an invasion because it threatens to connect. And then there's a detachment. There's Sabaki. There's many ways to deal with that area. White plays here and then runs away. Don't try to kill white. You're trying to kill. You want profit. Just take your profit and force black to live small on the inside. It's much more valuable to play this way. Much, much more valuable to play this way. Then, even if black's alive, you still got your profit and you can still go invade the right side. You want to surround. That's the idea. You don't want to kill. You want to surround and take profit. That's what you want to do. Here's a little dangerous because if black lives, then you lost points. Yep, so you lost points. So you could have gotten a little bit more if you would have just surrounded. All right, but not too bad, not too bad. Just a lesson learned. All right, so black plays this way. This is not the way to attack. Normally you play something like that or at a send down because white can simply get another eye shape here with something as simple as this. White's already alive in the corner with that Hane. So maybe don't even have to do that. Maybe just do something like that. And you can see locally there's a tiger's mouth. I'm not saying play this directly. I mean later there's potential tiger's mouth there. So it's easy for white to live. An attachment's normally played here over this. Okay, so white has some good ideas. White has some good ideas. All right, so we just Sabaki. Yep, perfectly fine. And white easily gets out, and white should win the game because white has more points. Well, as far as I know, white has more points. I haven't counted, but from the looks of it, white's gotten the big areas to the big areas first, so white should be winning. Black, it seems you lose a little bit focus on where the big areas are. Just cut that. Cut that. Most you can do is a Nobi, and then he's dead on the inside. If he tries to Hane, you can simply play here. Fine. If he tries to do something like that and just cut you off, well, then you can just give up 2 stones. But that's why I said you should have fixed earlier. But you already destroyed the area. Don't be greedy. And then maybe you can come and destroy this somehow. Maybe something like that. But if he plays this way and plays here, the whole area is destroyed. I'd rather just give up some of it with something like this. And if you read carefully, maybe there's a better way to do it. Maybe there's a better way to play. Like, for example, maybe instead of taking, you can just cut him off and play the Atari. No, maybe not the Atari. One, two, three, 1, 2, 3, 4. So nope, can't play this way. Take. Connect. Get Nobi up. There should be ways to deal with that. Normally you would read and try to find a way to deal with it, but you can't let him in like this. You can't just let him in so easily. You should fight and resist. Just fix. Don't give him another forcing move. Just fix. Because later he can play this 1-point jump in Sente and make maybe a couple points in Sente. Or maybe he can play this peep and make this cut work, which would be annoying. Not right now, of course it doesn't work, but later it might work, which would be annoying. So there's no reason to leave that Aji. So let's see. Yep. So you lost a lot of points here. Lots and lots of points. You die? Surely not. You're not gonna die. But you lost, oh, so much. So much, so much. See, if you had that connection, you could have cut. But here, I think you have to cut and just fight it out. Because you're going to lose. I think this is almost game over if this lives. But how do you live? I don't know how to live either. But if he just connects, you lose, right? From what I can tell, if he connects, you lose. So fight it out and give yourself you have to resist. I mean, if you're going to lose either way, pick the one that's more difficult for your opponent. All right, so white made a lot of mistakes at the end in this area. So white was winning, white did good, and then white just let black into the area that he was winning with. So that was the big mistake. Okay, so the results probably black plus 5.5. Oh, I thought it'd be way more than that. It looks like white broke in here too. So the idea here is for both players, I think, work on getting those bigger moves first, and work on your attacks. Make sure they're on the outside. Don't try to kill, but try to take profit. Fix yourself. If you're going to fix yourself with a move, then make sure it does its job. Don't leave Aji behind. Just fix it. Just fix it. Don't worry about playing something fancy. Don't worry about trying to make it super effective. If you're going to fix yourself, just fix it. Also, if your opponent's trying to get into the big area, make sure you block it. Give up a couple points is fine, but you can't just give up everything you spent the whole game making. That is where white really lost it. White was winning by so much. White was doing so good because you attacked the right, you destroyed the top, and you made the points on the bottom. Or sorry, left. You attacked the left, and you made the points on the bottom. It was so good for white, and then you lost everything you had gained. So you can't let that happen. And you gained nothing in exchange for this area either. So he got in, all you did was connect and make 1 point for this whole area. So I think the biggest issue is attack from the outside, make your profit, and then fix it. Fix your stuff when you need to fix it, and just don't let your opponent in your area so easily. So a little bit better reading. But I think counting and probably more experience with reading and attacking from the outside and looking for profit and not for kills would be really helpful. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed, and I will see you guys next time.